the other day I was going to a grocery store and next door was a Halloween costume shop. There was a witch costume for $50.
Well, I hope you bought 2.
I said, I'll take them all.
How many you got?
Can you get more? Where's the next location?
Do you provide bulk discounts?
Like, aren't people tired of paying too much for something you'll only wear one time?
You're talking about costumes?
I'm talking about Halloween costumes.
And the fact that there is a ton of plastic lurking in them.
Almost all of them.
Which is why.
Today we're sharing how to get creative with your costumes, whether it's swapping, renting, or raiding your closet.
No waste, minimal stress. It's going to be a good episode.
One can hope. Once upon a time, before children, I was a costumer for film and television and the occasional touring musician.
And because of this, you're very good at knowing which temperature to set when ironing clothing.
Are we talking about the soccer shorts that you ironed?
No.
Eleisha wanted to wear my soccer costume one day. So she borrowed my shorts and ironed them.
I do love it. I called it a costume.
You did. And they were ruined. They just shriveled right up. Mm-hmm. And
that's because they were made of plastic.
Yeah.
I'm still not very good at ironing.
No, I know that because I was cringing watching you iron your shirt today. Nothing you were doing made sense to me.
Yeah, well. we all have our strengths. Yeah.
Oh, and mine is ironing?
It goes way beyond that.
I'm an excellent ironer.
You are the best.
Anyway.
You should give tips and tricks on that.
One day. Maybe one day I will share my tips and tricks on ironing. But today we're talking about how plastic creeps into so many fabrics we wear.
Yeah, which is appropriate because we're also talking about costumes today.
So it's like a plastic in disguise episode.
Plastic in disguise with diamonds.
Which is really petroleum in disguise.
Right, because they're petrochemicals. I don't think a lot of people know that plastic is actually made from
oil.
Yay.
In fact, and I'll reference my notes on this, more than 60% of fabric fibers are now synthetics, derived from fossil fuels. So these fabric fibers will not decay if they end up in landfills, which is where about 85% of textile waste in the U.S. goes.
So then what are examples of this plastic in disguise in our clothes?
Polyester and rayon are some well-known fabrics.
I mean, I see polyester in everything. Is that kind of
blouses,
one of those?
shirts,
okay.
Pants. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all over the place. Nylons.
Like tights.
Yeah, stockings.
Like the nylons.
When we were in school, when I was younger, there was a woman that came and told us how in World War II, the military was collecting all of their nylons to make parachutes.
Oh,
but this was
a fun little fact. Is it true?
It's true.
Oh.
Because they were made of silk, but then nylon was cheaper to produce. Plastics,
of course,
cheaper to produce, and so they were collecting all the women's nylons. But at that time, women, it was you don't go out without nylons. So they would.
I don't.
With this was back then. So they would with eyeliner draw lines down the back of their legs to make it look like they were wearing their stockings.
Tricky.
Yeah, they were also originally pantyhose were silk. But they were switched to nylon because they didn't shrink and moths didn't eat them.
And probably less expensive.
And that.
Fast fashion.
No, they cost the same actually at that time.
Oh, really?
In that time they did.
Okay.
Now, not. Now silk is a much more expensive. Anyway, so more... So that was a little tangent about nylons, but Other synthetic fibers include spandex,
Like your swimsuits and
all
your
like
athletic
wear, leggings, fleece.
Okay. That's sad because that's comfy.
It's so comfy cozy, but it's
Not good for your body.
typically synthetic.
Or the earth.
No.
Bummer. I know that velvet used to be made out of cotton, but I don't think most of it is anymore.
I don't think so. And faux fur.
Oh, yeah. Faux fur or
Faux leather.
Faux leather.
Yeah, those are plastic. Those stretchy fabrics cannot be recycled as well as other fabrics.
I do remember that because we went and we were sorting fabric at Fab Scrap, which is a really great organization that kind of takes a lot of textile waste and then
Tries to divert it from a landfill.
Yeah, I remember having like a separate bin that's like all the stretchy blue jean material, and they're just like,
It's garbage.
Yeah.
Essentially. Side note, related, but not exactly on topic. Another disguise that plastic takes is chewing gum.
chewing gum. We carry compostable gum in the refillery because my business partner and I go into schools and we talk about low waste living and, teaching kids how to take care of the planet. And we always bring up this fact that the gum base is actually plastic in most gums. And they're all like, no. And so then they would start coming in and say, do you have the gum that's compostable? And we didn't at that point, but we started bringing it in so that could be a talking point that they would tell their parents. And then that encouraged conversation.
Nice. I mean, what's so gross about it is how many times I would just swallow gum.
I know.
In my youth.
Swallowing that plastic. I know.
Here's a bottle cap. Let me just... snack attack. Right? That's what it kind of is.
Yeah.
So that's gross.
Anyway, back to fabric. Isn't there a way that you can tell how it's plastic, even if you don't have the tag or anything?
Surefire way, if you're upcycling fabric for a craft project, there's a little trick that I use. I'll cut a swatch, which is a little piece of the fabric. Mm-hmm. This isn't good to use for clothing. You don't cut up clothing if you're going to wear it.
I mean, I typically don't.
If you're upcycling some fabric for a craft project, for instance, you can take a flame to it, and how it reacts to the fire will indicate whether it's synthetic or not. So if it's a plastic, it will shrivel up and harden and stink like plastic does. Mm. If it's a natural fiber, like silk, wool, linen, cotton, then it'll burn like paper does. And it will smell like you have a fire going in your home.
That absolutely makes sense. Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of crafting, I'm excited because today we're going to be talking about Halloween costumes and how you can make your own. I'm also excited to hear your ideas for your family costume.
Oh, yeah. We've got so much to talk about. Let's get witchcrafty.
Let's boo this.
Our family's always been pretty good about making our own costumes and reusing things we already had, right?
Yeah. And I feel like we kind of follow that tradition. I don't really remember buying a lot of costumes growing up.
No, I can't think of any. I picture the plastic baggie with the costume in it.
Yeah.
And I think I remember buying one in my early 20s, young and dumb.
What were you?
I was a cop, and it doesn't even...
Were you a sexy cop?
It was yes. It doesn't make sense. The guy I was dating...
Oh, no.
Was... we loved Reno 911.
Oh, okay.
And he had a Lieutenant Dangle costume, and it was very last minute, which is, they prey on that.
Oh, yeah.
They really, that's how they get you. They're like, you don't have the time. Here, use
maybe
this
you don't have
garbage.
The creativity, maybe. Or the how-to.
Anyway, it definitely ended up in a landfill. Because I wore it once, and why would I keep a cop costume?
I'm not judging, though.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's progress.
Over perfection. That's like the
but
slogan.
Other than that, I've done a lot of homemade and a lot of upcycling in my life.
I know that I had a costume for every Halloween because I, usually had a Halloween themed birthday party.
As discussed last
Right.
episode.
My first memory of costumes is pretty intense. I remember when I was a kid, you weren't around yet.
Sorry.
It was a hard time for me.
Probably the worst years of your life.
Killer,
Yeah.
really hard days. Wasn't sure how I could go on until you came into this world.
Yeah.
Thanks for choosing me. So I remember being in the warehouse behind Dad's store. Mm-hmm. And they had constructed this gigantic paper mache.
Who, Mom and Dad?
Paper mache dragon. And I remember painting the toenails of the dragon. They let me paint the toenails. But the whole costume was one that Mom actually was dressed as a damsel, and she was inside the belly of the dragon so that she could control the flame coming out.
Was there actual flame?
Oh, yeah. Actual flame. And Dad was dressed as a knight in shining armor.
That's insane. Did they roll up to a Halloween party?
They did. Well, and that's not like the first time that that's not the only time they did that. They also at one point dressed as aliens and built a spaceship. And so they went to...
Amazing.
I know.
Well, okay. So that it makes sense that we've carried on the tradition of like making our own costumes. What are some of your favorite costumes that you've been?
In the past?
No, in the future.
I mean, I don't have a ton. I know that when my husband and I started dating, we went as the Rain Man brothers. So I thrifted a suit.
Weren't you Breaking Bad?
Oh yeah, one year I was I don't remember the guy that was the chair, he had the bell, the ding ding ding, and he couldn't talk, and so the whole night I didn't talk. I just rang the bell. It was great.
You choose. It's just like Sexy Cop. You chose Sexy Halloween.
Yeah, because you're also like with your lips doing that whole.
And you're still married.
Let me just tell you. It was great for someone who kind of gets overwhelmed at large parties to not be able to talk and I was fully committed to the character.
Well, yeah. You can't wear a costume like that and stop doing it.
No.
5 minutes in.
No,
It
I
has
was
to be all
committed.
night, all or nothing.
It's the same when I did, I was Chunk and Josh was Sloth.
I wish I saw pictures of this. I have not seen pictures of these.
Shuffle.
That's amazing.
These are all thrifted.
I need to see pictures of these, and
I don't
maybe you
even
should
think we
share
have
them.
pictures
Oh,
of these.
that's too bad.
That was pre-phone cameras.
Pre-phone cameras.
I mean, I could have probably brought a digital camera or something, but we didn't.
Somebody out there has a shoebox
If you are a listener who has a picture.
of any of those.
So what are some of your couple costumes?
One time we were Medusa and a stone man, and I had access to a lot of fabric at work because I was a costumer. Mm-hmm. And so I made a dress, and the hair department let me use one of their wigs, and I just put snakes in it.
Perks of being a costumer. Costumes, and you're a costumer. That's convenient. Are you a costumer because of Halloween in the same way that Mom and Dad opened a haunted attraction because of Halloween? And then was I born because of Halloween?
I
whole
think
purpose in
you
life.
were born because of like Valentine's Day.
Oh. Ew. I had never even thought of that. Oh. Well, this is awkward.
In case you were trying to picture Mom and Dad.
That is
Anyway. Okay. I think probably the costume I'm most proud of was Mummy Antoinette.
Oh, yeah. I remember this one.
And my husband was long underwear wolf. So he was like a werewolf in long underwear. And I made out of some muslin a full, like,
it was gorgeous.
corseted costume. It was like a Marie Antoinette costume, but I wrapped everything in strips of muslin so it looked like a mummy. like the hair and everything. I was really proud of that costume.
It
And
was
I have
gorgeous.
one dark, grainy subway picture, which is kind of perfect because I lived in New York at the time. So there's like just this one not great picture of it. But the memory is there.
I love the commitment that you have with these costumes. I'm thinking of our costume for the last 3 years has been the same.
Okay.
Let me tell you what it is. Almost as involved as yours. Mm-hmm. Josh and I both take my husband, Josh.
Oh,
Have you met him?
did you guys? I feel like I saw him once.
So we each have a name tag, and his says Steve, and mine says Cheryl.
Okay.
So when we go to these parties, Josh will be like, hi, and people are like, Steve. Like they're trying to figure out who this Steve, like
Yeah.
Steve Jobs, is it Steve? Like, who's this? And so they're like, Steve? And he says, yeah. From accounting? We do this every year. And so Josh is Steve from accounting, and I'm Cheryl from HR. And every year, we fully commit to some story that's going on in the life of Steve and Cheryl.
Are y'all married?
Well, the first year we were not, and we had to say that we were not together at the party. We just happened to be at the same party. Because obviously HR, that would have been a
Big
no.
no. This is the best / weirdest costume I've ever heard of.
The only unrealized costume that I don't think will ever happen.
I knew you were going to bring this up.
Well, because I thought we had a plan. I was going to have a baby around the same time that you had babies.
You didn't have to get pregnant when you did. I wasn't even in a relationship.
I guess technically I also could have gotten pregnant when you got pregnant.
I've given you a couple opportunities.
I was a one and done. Yeah, so we were going to have children around the same time and dress them up as flowers and put them in a little flower pot.
Yeah, it was going to be so cute.
Yeah,
and we were going to have them in a
little
wagon
and pull
shoulder-
behind.
We had this. It was actually a plan of ours.
Yeah.
like we were going to do this,
Yeah.
and now our kids are 8 years apart.
Yeah.
And we thought, like, do we make the 8-year-old dress up as a flower?
Yeah, do we make the 8-year-old, who, by the way, changed her costume the day before Halloween.
Doesn't she do that every year?
Every year.
Yeah. Because I
Every
feel
year.
like I help alter something so that
Yeah.
she can wear it. And then come Halloween, she's like, I wore something else.
It's to the point now where I'm just like, no, we'll talk about your Halloween costume.
Because there was y'all had a
the
very
day
cute
before.
Harry Potter costume one year.
Yeah, that was our family costume.
And she was Harry.
She was Harry. I was Ron, because at that point I was dyeing my hair red. And obviously Josh was Hermione.
Obviously. That's such a perfect. She chose that, didn't she?
Oh, she 100% chose it.
It made sense to her. Red hair, Ron.
Yeah.
Josh.
That's the
Hermione.
leftover character. So
Right,
clearly,
that's the third in the trio.
yeah.
It's a good trio. I've only gotten to do one family costume. And last year we did Adventure Time.
Oh yeah, I don't watch
You don't
that.
know that.
I know
but
it. I
it's-
just don't watch it.
My toddler was Finn the human, and my husband was the Ice King. Is that his name? I think so.
You're asking the wrong person.
And then because I was 9 months pregnant, I was Lumpy Space Princess. And none of this means anything to
But
you.
that does make sense, just the idea of the lumpiness.
But I found all of the stuff at a thrift store. Like I used a big blue Snuggie for my husband's Ice King costume. And then I found clothes that work with Finn the human. And I turned a purple blanket into Lumpy Space Princess.
You also did a really funny TikTok video while you were pregnant, kind of showing all these different costumes that you could have as a pregnant person with the belly,
Oh, yeah.
but using things around the house.
Yeah.
and it was hilarious.
I was Santa, and I was just in my like red Christmas pajamas. I was Thor, but Thor
That one was
later
great.
on.
My favorite was Penguin.
Oh, Penguin was excellent, and I just had my husband's suit on. I made a top hat out of
So good.
paper or something.
It was so
and
good.
the last one was Shrek.
Oh, yeah.
But those were all so easy to make with things I had at home. Did I tell you when I was due with my first,
Oh, I know this.
I was due on Halloween?
Oh, did you tell me?
Oh, you were there.
You were so
we were neighbors.
excited.
I was due on Halloween and convinced myself that I was going to give birth on Halloween, even though that's so unlikely, especially for your first pregnancy. Like you're almost always going to go over.
As I know. And as someone who already had a child, I wanted to tell you that making plans.
I knew
the worst
like,
thing
I
that you
told
could do when
myself
you have a
every day,
child.
don't get your hopes up. Don't like, this may not happen. This may not happen. This probably won't happen. And still, 2 days before Halloween, my husband and I made costumes that I was convinced.
I think you need to share what these costumes were, because I really think that our listeners are going to appreciate what you were going to dress your newborn baby as.
Well, first of all, the fact that I was convinced that I would have given birth and then on Halloween, and then we would all dress up in the hospital. That was...
We'll just call that mom brain. That's mom brain.
I pictured like a sort of 1 a.m. delivery, and then we have time to rest and then get dressed. And the costumes we made were...
Wait for it.
My husband was going to be Jason. I was going to be Leatherface. These are all thrifted. But then for my newborn's outfit, I crocheted a Freddy Krueger sweater and fedora and some little mittens
That had the claws. Yeah. The little...
He was not born on Halloween. He
I
came
still
a few
think y'all
days
should
later.
have just,
Put him in.
committed.
Happy November, our baby. We have a baby. And then
Let's celebrate.
we also made out of cardboard boxes. We made the weapons that they use. Like we made a fake chainsaw, and we were debating whether or not we should wear fake blood. And we thought, you know what? No, we'll be in a hospital. This is such non-parent behavior. And now I'm like, you're out of your mind.
I think it's probably better that you didn't get that opportunity. I'm just thinking of whenever he's older and looking back at his first pictures in the hospital and him being
You don't think he
dressed
would love that? He would absolutely be like, my parents were awesome.
or not.
Or he would either show it to all his friends or to his therapist.
Yes, exactly. We're either way.
Could go. You just never know with kids.
This is probably a good time to talk about how you can make your own costumes and avoid all of the potential waste.
As good a time as any.
How much waste, you ask?
I do ask.
You didn't ask.
Oh, how much waste? Do you have any numbers handy?
Oh, I guess I do. We've got a couple of numbers right here. An investigation in the UK recently revealed that Halloween costumes contain the same amount of plastic as 83 million plastic bottles, creating 2,000 tons of plastic waste in the UK last year alone. And that same study estimates that 4 in 10 costumes were worn only once, putting 14 million costumes in the garbage.
That's so much.
So let's make our own.
That's crazy because that's just the UK. And the population of the US, who I think goes even harder with Halloween, is 7 times the population of the
Way
UK.
more sexy cops in the US.
For obvious reasons.
going back to the skills that I possess, I am not someone who knows how to sew, really. But yeah, give me a cardboard box. I'll transform that sucker. Or I did have one year where I had a tank top, just a tank top, and I just wrote, "I love ceiling" on it. This was years ago, like over a decade ago. Do you know why?
Why?
I was a ceiling fan.
It's giving Anchorman. Like, I love lamp.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was maybe before Anchorman.
I think it might have been.
Yeah,
That's
I'm all for
you're
a
good
good
at that.
punny costume.
punny, like low
Doesn't take
effort,
a lot.
but still very effective.
Cat's pajamas, easy. You just take a little eyeliner, make your little cat whiskers,
Wear pajamas.
wear some pajamas. Oh, what a costume. This is where I'm at in my evolution of costumes. Minimal effort that
I
you
like
show
it.
up and you're like,
But
I'm doing
minimal
it.
waste. In fact,
Minimal-
zero waste.
Zero waste.
Wow. That's good. That's important because there are plenty of people who don't. The reason those pre-made packaged costumes are so appealing is because they're easy. They're low effort. You can go in and buy it for $50+, wear it and throw it away.
Yeah.
But you could just,
Get punny.
get punny. Get punny with it. I can't think of any puns. I can't think of any pun costumes off the top of my head.
Well, I got a couple.
Okay.
Breadwinner. So you get like a medal. You've got plenty of medals from all your marathon days. Get yourself a little medal.
Oh, I get
And
it. Like you're
you
the
get some
breadwinner
bread.
of the family. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Also, super cozy comfy. Pig in a blanket. Dress up like a little piggy.
A little piggy. And you don't
Wrap
need
yourself
much.
a little blanket.
And you get to be in a blanket all night.
Yes.
That's dream costume material.
I'm just realizing now, thinking back to the Rain Man, because I was also fully committed that day. I do like costumes that don't involve a lot of interaction with people. Definitely. Definitely. I think I said that most of the
And then
night.
you were just like quiet and awkward the rest of the time, just like
I would
pacing
just
around.
walk around and be like, 275.
Consumer spending hit over $10.14 billion on Halloween in 2021.
$10.14 billion.
Yes.
Okay.
$3.32 billion on costumes.
So the rest was like decorations and things like that. And
Yeah.
then 3 point how much?
$3.32 billion on costumes. And this is in the United States.
You don't even have to spend money on a costume.
No, because you could swap costumes.
Yeah.
You have swaps at the refillery,
It's
don't you?
my favorite event.
Is it?
It really is because it's adorable. It's like
Do you do adult or just kids?
adults are allowed to drop off, but it's way more kid based.
Okay.
It's a great opportunity for parents to kind of clean out the closets that maybe have dress
imaginary
up clothes.
chest.
Yeah, the imaginary box, whatever. They bring the costumes in the day of the swap, usually a little bit before if there are people who don't necessarily want to swap. They just want to get rid of costumes. And then the day of the event, we have it all set up with these clothing racks that are the height of kids. And we have it organized where they can just come in and choose whichever costume speaks to them. So there's no...
And
like,
it's totally free?
it's totally free.
That's so cute.
And this is why it's my favorite, because a lot of times there are kids that can't get the costume they want if they were to go to a store because the parents or the
That's
caretakers like,
$50.
yeah, this is a $50 witch costume.
and you're going to wear it.
You're going to wear it once. It's going to end up in the trash. It's full of plastic, so probably not great for you anyway.
Right.
And then this allows them to choose whatever is there, and they're so excited.
That's so cute. I love that. I've seen some libraries host costume swaps too.
Yeah, usually whenever we have costumes left over, we'll donate them to local nonprofits that do similar things.
That's so good.
and the libraries.
people at home, you could host your own if there's not one.
Yeah, like a little neighborhood costume swap or a school costume swap.
That's such a great idea.
Parents appreciate it too.
They're not wasting money on it, and they can get rid of their other costumes that nobody's wearing that are just sitting in a closet.
Yeah.
Do you have a name for the costume swap?
A community costume swap. Getting real creative over here.
Because I feel like there's potential for a fun name.
Let's hear it.
It's not there yet.
Oh. Don't hurt your brain. Lucy in Disguise. No. That's actually the name of a costume rental store that used to be in Austin, Texas.
Oh.
When I lived there.
I would love for there to be a better name, and I can't think of it.
Post-Costumus.
This is only our second episode. So, in theory, we have 0 listeners. But one day, maybe next year, we'll have thousands of listeners. And imagine if each one of those imaginary listeners didn't buy a single-use Halloween costume.
We'd be saving the world. Well, that's maybe a bit of a stretch. But this year, it'll just be us and our family. At least our mom. She's definitely listening.
Thank you for all your support. We love you. And next year, you'll be one of many listeners. One can hope.